You give to me body and soul. Read in between the cracks in the wall. So we have no time.
Lordy again, with a proper booth on the go, and some proper hay fever eyes as well. Can't do anything about the latter. Should have done something about the former. Anyway, before I tell you what I'm reviewing today, although it's probably already up in the corner, I should say that other vendors are available and are also very good. I've been reviewing loads of stuff from Charlie, and as far as I'm aware, again, Charlie's the only person that's selling these at the moment. It is the Hero APV, and I did receive this one free of charge, but not to conduct a review. I received it as a thank you for a bit of help that I gave. So anyway, let's have a vape. And now let's have a closer look. This is what you get when you open your package. One thing I really do like about Reaver is that they do actually go to the time and effort of nicely packaging their devices. I think when you're spending all of that money on a bit of equipment, then a decent box to get you a little bit more excited and make it feel a bit more like Christmas is a good idea. And this is what you get inside. So you get a King Kong or Ming drip tip, whatever you want to call it, and then you get the actual device itself. Also included in the pack you get 2 of these sets of wicks and coils, and you also get a couple of spare pins, and I've had to use one of mine already. So here it is, the Hero. This side here, this is your battery tube, and it is designed to take an 18350 battery. Don't know what's going on with the focus. There we go, that's better. Yeah, it's designed for an 18350 battery. Now I have tried with this tube off my Vamo and a couple of other tubes trying to extend it so I can squeeze another battery in, and as yet I've not found another tube that I can bolt on. The other thing to say is that these tubes, the metal parts at least, are chrome plated brass as opposed to stainless, which is maybe a little bit disappointing. You've got these nice little divots in the bottom of the button, which are mirrored again on the centre of this side of the device as well, and it's got a pretty good hot spring in there too. So this on the bottom is your juice chamber. It's fully lined with plastic, so none of your juices are likely to react with anything that's inside there. It's well insulated, and it's quite a generous size. This, I believe, holds 5 ml or 5.5 ml of juice, which is great. It's more than I get out of most things. Onto that, you've then got the chamber, and this again is lined with, I'm going to assume that it's Delrin as opposed to plastic. Now, disappointingly, you are going to have to make a few modifications to this when it comes out of the box. These holes in the side of the tubes here originally just don't actually go through. The Delrin is entirely in the way. So what I did is just got my blowtorch and heated up a paper clip. I had to make a couple of stabs at each hole to get it to go right the way through, but I've punctured all 4 of those holes. The other thing to say is that the centre chamber here, the hole is a heck of a lot smaller than that when it first arrives. The hole straight out of the box as standard is big enough to get just 2 ends of some 2 mil rope through, and that's it. I've just used a drill bit and I've bored this out to 5 mil, so that's a 5 mil hole that's in there now, and it'll easily take 4 ends of 2 mil rope, which is a lot better for wicking, a heck of a lot better for wicking. Just grab a screwdriver, show you the top part. This here is your, where the drip tip fits on, and unfortunately you do get a little bit of condensation build up. But all you need to do is just make sure that you stop firing and just inhale just that split second longer, and it just stops that condensation building. The drip tip holder again is Delrin insulated. On the reverse of it here, this is a very familiar sight. It's exactly the same connector that they use in the Dream atomizer. Some people don't get on too well with the pins. I personally don't have that much of an issue. Another thing that's quite helpful is that this positive post here is adjustable. So if for any reason you've got a battery that doesn't quite fit or it rattles around slightly, you can adjust this just to get it to fit nice and snug. I've not really had to adjust anything, and I've tried nippled and nippleless batteries. This top piece here, from what I know, is actually made from stainless. So why they made this out of stainless and not the tubes, I've no idea. Let's just take this apart and get into it. Okay, and underneath you can see that the switch is spring mounted, and you can quite happily say that this makes it a fully mechanical mod. There's no wires, there's nothing like that. It's all user serviceable, and you can also see that what bridges between the battery positive post and the chamber is, again, it's a nice piece of brass. So the conductivity on here is pretty good too. One thing is that because of the configuration of it, it's pretty much impossible to use a tankometer to work out what your voltage drop's going to be. So I can only give you a subjective view, but I can tell you subjectively that that it doesn't seem to be losing a lot. Right, I'm going to get this built back up, and then we're going to wick and coil it. Okay, so what I've got here is a piece of 0.5 by 0.1 ribbon canthal wrapped round a couple of pieces of silica wick. And the way I've worked out the size of wicks there is I just held it up against the side of the tube and cut it so that it was kind of a double length on both sides, on both wicks. So that's how I got there. Right, so let's pop this into the head of the device, which, as always, I'm struggling to do on cam. There we go. So then we just need to put in our pins. Which again is difficult enough at the best of times. There we go, so that's number 1 in there. And that's number 2. Next thing that you want to check is that you've got a bit of a gap underneath the coil so that none of them are actually touching the base. That's pretty close, but that's good enough for me. Right, so let's just screw the battery on and give that a bit of a test fire. And as you can hear, hopefully, the threads are very good on this. And there we go, that's going away quite nicely. Okay, what really helps with threading the wicks through is just to take a bit of the leftover wire that you've got from when you built your coil, wrap it around the tails there, and then basically you can feed it through the chamber. Important to say is try get it the right way around. I have made the mistake a few times putting it with that end closest to the coils. It's probably just me and my stupidity. But yeah, basically you want to thread it through the top cap so you can see the wire coming through. Pinch the wire, give it a gentle tug, and you should get the wires coming through like so. So then very carefully work them through until you can screw the top on. As you can hear again, that's well threaded. Okay, so we've got quite a length of tail that's coming through there, probably too much. Let's just take the juice cup and hold it up and see what kind of excess we're playing with. Now it's important when you cut these tails that they rest in the tank but not on the bottom. That helps a lot with the wicking. So there we go, as you can see from the way that they're lined up, they're in the tank but they're not making contact with the bottom. For the next bit, we use our old friend the cocktail stick. And what you want to do is just stab it through the tails and just give it a pull to start untangling them. Basically, the more wispy you can get the wicks that actually enter the juice chamber, the better the wicking is going to be. This does take a little while, so rather than making you sit and watch this whole process, I'll come back. So there we go, a properly bushy tail. When you're doing that, you'll find that you do get little bits wisping off, and if I were you, just a little health thing, I'd rather just pull off all of the loose wispy bits and make sure that that's not ending up in my e-liquid or coming up the chamber and into my lungs, which is very unlikely, but hey ho. I've also given it another haircut, so I've again just tested it against the side of the tank to make sure that I'm coming into the chamber without really touching the bottom too much. And that's pretty much it. Take our rejuice. You can really fill this up to the brim. Pretty much there. That'll do me. So you can see the juice levels pretty brewing. And then gather our tails. It's going to be quite difficult to show you this given the camera angle. But we're then just going to gently coax all of our bits of wick into that tank. In fact, once it's wetted with e-liquid, it just helps to get things lined up a bit better. And there we go. So as you can hear, all the threading throughout is lovely. I'm so pleased I'll never have to do this on a camera again. This takes me 10 minutes normally. I've been here an hour fiddling with this. But hey, here we go. Let's give it a vape. So what does it vape like? Really well. I'm not getting the same flavour out of it as you would out of, say, a Kafen, but with the size of that chamber, you're never going to. What I can say though is you've got typical silica wick performance in that with my fruity and sweet vapes, the flavour's a lot better on a silica wick than it is on a Genesis style mesh or rope wick. Other plus sides, it's a really nice compact size and it's different. You know, I mean, there's so many devices these days and they're all starting to look quite samey, and there's only so many ways that you can build an optimal configuration. Once you've made the adjustments, it's a shame it doesn't work better out of the box, but once you've made those adjustments, it performs really well. Yeah, for other things, similar money, yeah, it performs as well. But it's the style that you really pay for with this. The other thing you might be interested to know is I took the battery off. I sat it upside down on the edge of my desk like that, just on the corner, for about an hour and a half, and I got no leaks whatsoever. So I could stick this in my pocket, I could take it to work, I don't have to worry about the e-juice running down my leg. Yeah, good in all those respects too. It's lovely that you've got a 5mm juice chamber. You know, I really love being able to go a long time between refills. But it doesn't mean that that's all you need to take out of the house, because it's only using an 18350 battery. I'm getting typical lifetime out of it, 3 or 4 hours out of it, with a 1.3 ohm coil at the rate that I vape at. I'm not even going to try and answer the question, would I buy one? Because it all comes down to personal taste. I mean, some people might say that 65 quid for this is a lot of money, especially considering it's just chrome-plated brass tubes. But when you compare that to 200 quid for a, you know, for a full-blown hybrid mod, it's actually very reasonable. I like it. I'm very happy with it. If you want something that's different, if you want something that's pocket-sized that you can take out, that's easy to carry around, and something that's got a bit of a wow factor, something that really stands out, I really recommend this device. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again next time.